It's called Platinum. I don't know, whatever. So, 75th meeting celebration will ironically be taking place at the 76th meeting. Today, we will focus on the panel discussion as well as short and delightful table topic session. For those of you new out there, Quantum Maths is the world's only Toastmasters club that is focused on science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and human sciences. And everything that can make the world a better place. The whole idea behind this club was that for the course of my lifetime, I thought we lost touch with the real uh, things that matter and went too much after what could benefit us personally rather than collectively. So we lost touch with the sciences. In my country, at least, I don't know about others, but my country, the science-based professions became sidelined versus what ironically, I'm a chartered accountant myself, so I shouldn't be saying that. But management sciences, financials, and the other disciplines became much more dominant. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but the problem with that is that if you're not financially incentivized to get into science, and ultimately everything and everyone suffers because you have that much lesser inflow into scientific disciplines, research and development diseases, and everything just falls into journal misery. So it is my honor and privilege to welcome everyone to this 75th meeting of Quantum Leap Advanced Masters Club. And we have our old friend, DTM Sridhar, with us here. So sincerely appreciated. And DTM Sridhar, okay, let me ask you this. Would you like to be would you like to evaluate this panel discussion as a project? Would it be possible for you? Oh, okay, fine. I got the answer. So Nikhil Sridhar is just here for brief time. So anyhow, so today I'm also the Toastmaster today, and the topic of the meeting and topic of the panel discussion is something that has been puzzling us because, as you can perhaps very obviously see, I'm not I'm uh, I'm not Gen Zer. In fact, tragically, I'm not even a millennial. I missed being a millennial by 2 years. So I'm good old Gen X, and Gen X today seems as ancient as the Mesopotamians or the Egyptians. And it's only the second worst thing to being a boomer these days. So, uh, and you know what? Me and my colleagues and friends, uh, and I'm very sure that community at large, as the Gen Xers and the millennials now have ascended to positions where they're managing large teams. There is this constant challenge that how to make a workplace engaging, how to make the best use of our time, and the time of the a very young and us at least very obtuse workforce because uh, we find it difficult to identify with Generation Z and vice versa. We don't share the same interests. We are perhaps the only generation where we've seen the transition from pen and paper everything to digital everything. But generations subsequent to us were born into an era of internet, into an era of constant connectivity, and you know, not having to really bother about how things work because everything is available already. Just one example. In our computer classes, the early 90s, we used to learn about how the CPU works, how the motherboard works, what is actually a USB and how the data gets transferred, what is a BIOS, how the physical parts talk among each other through software. And even the operating system came very late in that process of learning because when we were learning computers, we were primarily learning on DOS-based computers, which required prompts. Windows came later. It seemed like a revolution to us. So yeah, imagine that. Yeah, that cool. Um, but the benefit of that is that from that era to what we do today, our cell phones, our computers, we play games, we watch movies, we know how everything works behind the scenes because we were compelled to learn that language. And that puts and that causes a disconnect because uh, amongst a lot of other things, uh, since generations subsequent to us were born into them, they're already used to the idea of things working that way. And they want to take things further. Sometimes the two approaches not gel at all. So, without further ado, I will take the liberty of asking, first of all, our panel moderator, Usman Sakura, introduce himself, and in turn, the other panelists introduce themselves, and then we'll start the timing of the panel discussion so as to save time for them. So over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Dear fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, today is going to be a very interesting day. I am Toastmaster Khurram, joined Toastmasters in 2001. That's my first pathway going to be completed expectedly today. Been into a very splendid, enjoyable, and full of learning journey in Toastmasters. Participated in international speech contest in 2022. Won it with the help of my gurus, my peers, my supporters. And today I am here sitting with you, working with Kimberly Clark from 15 years till now, and in paper and board industry from last 20 years. Fellow Toastmasters, have you ever thought how the relationship between a lord and the subjects has changed over the passage of time? Considered Egyptians, where people do work and they created an amazing pyramid of Gizas just to get a piece of bread at the end of the day. And even they were not free for that, they were slaves. Moving toward a huge era of time where first industrial revolution happened in 1760 in England, where it was considered to be unsafe, unsanitary, inhuman. But in the very England, it was the first ever act of health and moral values was generated by Sir Robert Peel. From that first industrial revolution era, where we are sitting today on the fourth and fifth industrial revolution era, in 2000, a global consultancy, HR consultancy firm named S3 introduced first time a concept of employee value proposition. And today we are talking about how the employee value proposition goes on, which is talking about compensations, benefits, stability, how the employees are getting respected, and what's the location of an employee. So eventually, after thousands of years have passed, employees now have a say that where they want to work, how they want to work, and employees have to comply. So it's the payback of the Egyptians. I'm just joking. Let me introduce you our panelists. We have today an ex, a former district director. She is the member of Quantum Leap Chartered Members. As a profession, she is a financial advisor, consultant who help improve the leadership and communication skills. She has played a vital role in Toastmaster arena, not at the district director level, at the international director level. She is the amazing, always available to support DTM Savarna. She's here with us straight from Singapore. Thanks, DTM Savarna, to be with us. Our second panelist is, she's not a Toastmaster, but she is in in the era of HR. She is working from last 15 years. She started her career with the National Health Services Graduate Program in United Kingdom. She has a specialized role in, and she has done her specialization in the employment law and organizational changes. She has joined Sellafield as a HR business partner for the growth of engineers and technical department. And now she is with Kimberly-Clark as the head of HR for the both operational side of Kimberly-Clark in United Kingdom. So please join me to welcome Kim Stephenson from UK. And lastly, we have a person who is a change management consultant and corporate trainer from last 45 years. He's a baby bloomer. He didn't look like baby in any way. He encountered technology transformation from a mainframe computer to a card punching floppy USB hard disk to cloud now. He has his profound speaking capabilities and say in the innovation and quality departments in Pakistan. He is a Toastmaster since 1997. He's been the governor of District 79, if I'm not mistaken, but let's say in the Middle East, he was the district governor. Please welcome DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. So, fellow Toastmasters, today we are having a panelist almost across the globe, and we are talking about employee value proposition for the Gen X in a gig environment. Let me give you a little bit of a context before I start reaching to my panelist that what the gig economy is. If I give you a very short introduction of some information what I have gathered, and you will be very much interesting to know that according to Korn Ferry, which is a world-renowned global consultation company, it's saying that by 2030, which is not far from now, is 5 years from now, there will be approximately 8 million of the skill shortage expected across the globe. In parallel, if you see that starting with United Kingdom, alone in United Kingdom, 46% of the workforce is a gig economy. 16% of the women are in a freelancing business. And in today's world, 280 billion is been contributed by gig economy alone in UK. Whereas in Pakistan, it is already 2% of the workforce is gig. And the current contribution in Pakistan is 300 million from the gig economy, which is expected to be 1.6 billion in 2030. And if you go in Singapore, it's already 3.6% current workforce is a gig economy. And since 2011 till now, that has been increased by 21%. And finally, if we see, right now in 2025, the gig economy contribution is 455 billion across the world, being US the biggest big gig economy in the world. Having said that, we'll move to our panelists to understand that what they think around how the employee value proposition is getting shaped and fluxed because of the gig economy generated by Gen Z. If somebody is not aware of the generational part, let me give a quick intro that starting those generational nomenclature started in 1901, where the Great Generation started, following the silent generation to baby bloomer on 1946 to 64. I am millennial, which is after 1981 till 1996. And today we are talking about Gen Z, which were born from 1997 to 2012. The question mark is that why we are discussing Gen Z today? Because Gen Z today is the workforce of tomorrow. They are the one which are in the industry, joining the industry right now. They will be our future in upcoming years, and that's why we are discussing them. So let me start the discussion. Let's start with DTM Savarna. DTM Savarna, what do you think why the Gen Z are more gig work oriented?
Thank you very much. A wonderful afternoon, evening to the panelists, and of course to all our members here in the room and as well as online. Kuram, great question. Why gig economy and why Gen Z are interested in it? As you explained about gig economy, I think the attention span is the first. Number one is because of the attention span. Everything that I know or I have experienced working with Gen Z is they want things done quickly. They want it to be, they don't believe in long experience, long-term experience. They want it to be done and move on. And then their strategy in life most of the time is focused on life and work balance. So because of that, it's like, okay, I do this, I earn, and then I move on. That's the attitude of most of the Gen Z. And I think that's the reason why they really like the gig economy, because it gives them the opportunity to expand themselves, at the same time give them the balance that they're looking for in life, to do something else that they want in life. That's my view. And over to you, Kuram.
Thank you, DTM Savarna. Now, we all do realize now and we understand that why the gig economy is now blooming or more in the world, because the Gen Z, their appetite toward long commitments, staying and learning and going on the slow pace is bit more questionable, I would say. Just to a little bit developed on that, uh, how you think, DTM Seth, that how the technology is playing part into this behavior? Because earlier we were at newspaper, we moved to television, we moved to mobile, and so on and so forth these days, right? So what do you think how technology is participating and in this situation with these Gen Z? DTM Seth, can you hear us? I will move.
You are asking the question.
I will.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. So what I'm asking, at, as we understand from DTM Savarna, that the Gen Z are more toward learn, move on, short-term commitments, learn and do new things. How the technology is playing part in that, and what we can do around that.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Forum Shishri. It's a very pertinent question you're asking about the Gen Z. So Gen Z is the one that I'm come across and encounters even in my family. So what I can say about the Gen Z and the technology coming together, they know about the technology. They are better user of the technology. They are expert of the technology. But the issue
We lost DTM Seferi Sheikh. Uh, while he's joining back, let me move toward Kim.
to know about it. So this is their attitude issue. They want everything immediately. And without knowing that these things or these achievements need some time to work, focus, and with the patience they will get it. So there are two sides of the Gen Z. If you are talking about the technology point of view, they are expert about it. But on the other hand, they need to be calmed down, just patience, things will come automatically to them. And but I don't know what happened to, what they are thinking about it. Even my son, he's a Gen Z, and week after I was talking to him, counseling him, just wait, don't move. And he's just moving from one job to another job. And he need to be jumped to the top of the hill or top of the mountain immediately. I told, just patience, focus yourself, get the knowledge, get the experience, and you will get it, what you deserve it. So I personally feel that the Gen Z need to be patient about it. And even though there's another issue, if we are talking about the employer side of this one, I think employer are also little bit hesitant to deal with the Gen Z. My personal experience for the Gen Z, the employer should give all the facility, all the opportunity, all the liberty. For example, if Gen Z is saying that I want to work in the night, the employer should say, okay, no problem. Just you have to work for the 8 hours and the time you have to select. If the Gen Z is saying that I will spend 4 hours now, 4 hour in the evening. So employer is interested to get the result from the Gen Z. Just employer to give the liberty to take the decisions by the Gen Z, and believe in me, the potential, the hard work, and the attitude about toward the technology, they have a marvelous one. So I think we have to just give the room to the Gen Z to move forward. And that is a challenge for the employer to nowadays. They are
Ram,
not
thanks.
realizing the psychology of the Gen Z, how they can capitalize their strength, how they capitalize their knowledge and the wisdom. So that is a gap in between. And I think that, that the corporate should have to make the
So,
bridge
no,
between
so
their.
I will come back to you on that one for the industrial part of it. So let me just one step back. So thank you very much, DTM Saif, and we came to know from you that how the and it's a very interesting view, guys. When you look into the Gen Z, not from the only lens that they want a short-term things and they just want to be quick winners. On the other hand, they are extremely good at the technology use of them and how to get best out of it, which might be not the other generations are at this stage. So I'll move toward one part right now to Kim. Kim, what do you think that listening to this panel discussion, what future trends within the workforce flexibility are anticipated to shape the employee value proposition?
Yeah, thank you, Karam. And really some massively insightful comments there from the rest of the panelists that really interested to explore further, particularly the psychology piece of Gen Zs. I think we've got massive opportunity there. Thinking towards the flexibility aspect of EVPs in the future, we're seeing huge trends in this moving forwards that really have come from that platform really of COVID, where we were put into an environment where we had to work differently and find solutions to how we worked. And inevitably that changed our flexibility in the sense of where we could carry out some work. So we had a huge shift economically in terms of people working from home. And that also brought with it different mindsets within organizations to start to think about. We have different options here now in the sense of how and where we can work. So that home working piece is a huge aspect of where we work that fits into that kind of flexibility arena. But also Gen Z's kind of comfort with technology makes that kind of remote working very appealing to them, whereas other generations might perhaps not want that from an employer. That Gen Z population's got a real pull to how can I use that technology to really work differently. And similarly as well, under that flexibility umbrella, we're seeing a lot of changes in terms of people more wanting work-life integration than work-life balance. So to go on to the previous comment, it's really how and when they work. So can they have flexibility in the hours that they work? Can they have flexibility in when they start their work? Can they work when they feel they're most productive as a person? So we're seeing a lot of shifts with that, which then comes with challenges in itself when we think to industries where perhaps work is needed at very rigid times. So for instance, National Health Service, where we need particular clinicians on particular times, the manufacturing industry, where we need people on production lines at particular times. So starting to understand how we can be flexible in those kind of professions and adopt that kind of Gen Z mindset is going to be a huge challenge and conundrum really for the future of employment really, and how and where we can make that work.
Now, that's a valued input. So going forward to this input and looking into that, we have industries which are bit more time scaled industry, the industry where we cannot flex 100% according to the need of the industry. What you think, DTM Saif, that how industry can prepare itself to adapt these requests, unsaid requests from the Gen Z for the industrial survival? Because in one of
See,
the research part, what I have in UK, the Gen Z says that only
thank you very much. I'm
3%.
audible. Am I audible?
You are, I think so. You're having a bit of a
Am I audible?
backlash.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Forum. You are asking about the flexibility provision at the workplace. I personally feel if the employer can provide the flexibility at the workplace, for example, they can have a gym inside the premises. They might have certain games near to the premises, and because they can't focus for continuously 2 hours or the 3 hours. They need a break at least 5 to 10 minutes to do whatsoever they want to do it. Sometime they can go and watch little television, or they can go to the gym to do little 5 or 10 minute exercise, or they can play the tennis or anything or any game during the premises. So that is control. This is a challenge for particularly the production line. So if they are working in the office, this is very easy to accommodate with them and involve them and give the facility. So the big challenge is for the production lines, how they can deal with the Gen Z to providing the flexibility during the office hours. So that I think this question should be for the Stephens and Kim. So not for me. I'm from the office line and the management side, and Kim can give the better answer to this question.
No, thanks, Jim Steph and Kim. Uh, I would have asked this one to Savarna as well, but I think Savarna is no more with us in the call. She
Yes,
might
she's
drop
trying
out.
to rejoin. She's trying to
Okay.
rejoin.
So while she's joining back, Kim, just to develop a context here, in in 2006, when I was with the Packages Limited in Pakistan, they were having a separate complex for sports where the employees can go, they can play badminton, squash, gym, and you name it, right? And that's merely 20 years back from here. But still, having those facilities available in many of the big organizations, still the ask is still there of the flexibility. What do you think that we can do as an industrial organizations to adhere that flexibility by saying that already we cannot do 100% because we have a production schedules, we have a doctors or the patients, as you says earlier, that they need to be managed, right?
Yeah, and Steph, I think your answer there was absolutely sound, by the way. Really, really helpful context. And yeah, Karam, as you say, that kind of piece in the sense of more well-being aspects within an employer's facilities is absolutely still kind of a modern day ask now, and something which really helps employers, EVPs be more appealing. That, if we can't provide that flexibility in the sense of perhaps hours of work or when you start or finish your working day, to have that flexibility to do things from a personal well-being perspective within your workplace is absolutely still an appealing aspect of an EVP to this kind of day. And still something as well that a lot of employers will look to try and encourage when they are quite rigid within being able to allow a kind of flexibility. But I think there becomes kind of the conundrum is within a rigid work environment, it's how or what we need to change to enable flexibility to still be part of an EVP. Because from my kind of research and where I'm seeing this going is if we don't find a way to adopt that rigid environment, we won't have an attractive EVP to seek future employees of the future.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. DTM Savarna, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I
Yeah.
can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. So while you dropped out because of the technical issues, a quick summary what we have talked about that Gen Z have two faces where they are very good in technology, but they are not very calm. They are very short term, success driven, and moving on kind of a generation. And we are talking about the employers where even the flexible working hours is a demand, still there are employers which have to comply with the industrial norms of shifts, productions, 24/7 operation kind of a thing. DTM SEF were talking about that we need to give them a space to breathe where they can work for 2-3 hours, but then they can go to play some areas like games and tennis or something that they can, feel relaxed or, come back to their ground zero. And then obviously, as Kim says, and you might heard it already, that yeah, that's appealing factor, the flexibility. But in parallel, since we are talking more on the industrial side, that what employer have to do, because I see here that employers, to be very honest, are on the threat zone because one of the recent research shows that the Gen Z, only 3.5% of the population of Gen Z want to work on a manufacturing environment because manufacturing environment is one of the toughest environment in the industry where you need to comply with the schedules, shifts, productions. It's not sitting in a room and driving a coding or developing a software or a website or doing a bit more of a editing AI kind of a work. It's more of a hardcore work, and they don't want to be there. Only 3.5% out of 100 in the sample size. So, what do you think a Gen Z can do to develop that sense of that there is no shortcut to experience?
It's a very good question. But I would like to take it this way. Okay, I don't think that it's only Gen Z who is not keen on manufacturing. I think the way the progress has come now, many generations, in fact, it is much more comfortable working in a service industry than in a manufacturing industry, right? So I think the shift is mainly a mindset shift across not just Gen Z, but I think even millennials, even Gen X may move towards the service side than with manufacturing. But coming back to what manufacturing is, I think what would drive the Gen Z or anybody is that passion to experiment, the passion to do something new, and that's how we will have to pitch in. Either show that there's technology, there is ways of experimenting, there's way of becoming creative in the way we are doing things. And probably manufacturing industry has to develop as well to make it attractive in that sense, that it is no longer doing the same thing for long hours. There are some industries, there's no shortcut to it, but there are many industries, maybe we can come up with new ways of doing things where we bring in AI and then see how AI can sort of make things faster and then thereby bring interest into the Gen Z or anybody else who wants to see some results and still keep going at the manufacturing industry. That I think is one thing. Second is we cannot look at. I'm not sure whether we can say the same for anybody across the globe, because if you look at it, I think still many youngsters or Gen Z maybe in China, in Korea, or are still keen to do these type of jobs. So we probably is basically what is available, right? When we have a choice, then we go for something that is easier. But when we don't have a choice, then probably that's when we say, okay, let us take what we get. And probably, in my opinion, I think we have to just become creative in our manufacturing ways. Maybe we should look at see how we can simplify things, do some innovation in the manufacturing sector so that it becomes more enticing for the youngsters or the Gen Z to be there, is what I would say. I would like to hear what the others have to say as well.
No, it's a very interesting perspective, DTM Savarna, what you have put it forward. I will put one counter to it in a different way. So 100% agreed what you are saying, that yeah, it's not only in Gen Z, it's more predominant in Gen Z, maybe it's less visible in other generations, but yes, there is a mixed factor where other generations are also want to move toward service part rather than the manufacturing area. But as I take from you, as if I summarize it well, yes, we need to add attraction. It was a very valid point. Availability of those kind of a things is another important factor what you have touched base. So the developed countries like US, UK, there we can see more gig economy because those kind of a workforce is available. But in the underdeveloped countries, that is percentage is low. Like in Pakistan, we see 22% as well. There are other countries which is 3.5% as well, right? But according to foreign Conferry research in 2 years back, they are saying the highest skilled available in 2030 will be Indian subcontinent alone. That will be the highest talent available because they are underdeveloped. They are still focusing on the experience-based learning. So all those other countries which are deprived of the talent, they might have to go for those Indian subcontinent area and pull the resources from there because there's no other talent available. What's your take on that one, DTM Saif Ali Sheikh?
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Forum. This is question that even though this question is a very good question, and I come across with the same propositions of Indian subcontinent all over the globe. I have seen I have the experience in Middle East, and I have the experience in the Canada too. So most skilled people are coming from India and Pakistan. And this part of the world, the people's putting the effort to learn a specific skill, and they are getting the experience to become their excellence, and they are good in technical things. And I think futures for the skilled labor, if I am going to rename it, future of the skilled labor is going to be provided by the subcontinent to the entire world. And that is the future of Indian and Pakistan skilled labor. I hope that in 2030, you will find Indian and Pakistani each and every place.
Yeah, I mean, yes, maybe. I mean, my view on that one is that yes, you are absolutely right. But in general, as a underdeveloping countries, South Korea, or other countries where a lot of development is still happening, and that rapid development is not there. They are still working on a slow learning pace, developing their skills environment. And let's say the Asian market overall is feeding the Western market more toward the talent acquisition. Uh, Last 1 minute with all of the panelists, one by one. I will go. I will request to just summarize your thought over the subject. So, what are the top one action for Gen Z, one top action for the industry, Kim, you think need to be done now?
This question for me?
It will be a question for everyone. I will come back one by one to each. So starting with Kim, what do you think one action for Gen Z, one action for the industry needs to be done?
So I think, Karan, one action from a Gen Z perspective, particularly looking towards industry, is educating that leadership mindset in the sense of the needs of our Gen Z population. I think Saif's previous comments around that kind of psychology of what Gen Zs want from a workplace needs to be well understood by all of the current generations within the workforce, because it's so radically different that you could cause a lot of friction internally if we don't have that shared understanding. So key piece for Gen Z is that leadership, awareness and understanding of the needs of that population.
Thank you, Kim. GTM Sef, your summary comment. What do you think? What needs to be done?
Yes, what I think about it, there are two different dimensions, and we have to make a connection, making a bridge between the industry and to the Gen Z. And the only connection we can make it that we have to adjust a little thing toward the industry and little thing toward the Gen Z, so they can come across through the bridge and move forward for the betterment of humanity.
And what do you think that bridge could be?
It should be, I think, Gen Z should be patience, and industry should provide the space.
Yeah, well said. Patience and space. DTM Savarna, your closing comments. What do you think?
Toastmaster Khurram, thank you so much for this beautiful thought process. So basically, I would say is that we as I mean, at least from my own experience, I think we need to improve our communication skills. Focus on communication, making sure that we are clear on what we want and what and understand what Gen Z wants, so that we can connect. So we need to learn to connect. Basically, whichever generation we are in, we need to learn to connect, and that is something that I think universally all of us need to learn. And from the Gen Z's perspective, I agree with DTM Saif. I think they need to understand patience. To say that it's okay to wait, and they need to learn that. And I'm sure over a period of time they will learn it, but we need to see how we can bring in patience into that system. So that's my take.
Thank you very much, DTM Savarna. Fellow Toastmasters, what an interesting discussion we have today. If I summarize this one, trying to do that one in a nutshell, there's so much valued inputs are done by our panelists. It's a threat or opportunity on both sides, depending on how we perceive it and how we take it. Now, it's a challenge for the industry to make themselves flexible to match with the new psychology of upcoming generation. It is a challenge for the new generation to understand the requirements and the skill set needed for the industry. Otherwise, one region will be overrun by another region. There are opportunities and challenges. What the summary our panelists are saying is we need to educate Gen Z or Gen Alpha or Gen Millennia in leadership mindset. That's very important. Improve their communication skill so they are able to explain what exactly they want and what are the needs. It is very important what DTM Saif Ali Sheikh say, a norm have to develop a patience and a space. So my take today is leadership, patience, and space developing along with the communication skill. With that, we will see how our generation, our younger brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters will go in the industry and meet the norms. I'll open the house for questions and answers. I believe we have 5 minute Toastmaster of the day for
Yeah,
some
we
questions.
have 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes. Anywhere
between 5 to 10 minutes. So I will open the house for questions. Any questions? Please go ahead. Toastmaster.
It's okay. It's okay, DTM Tilha. You can ask first.
All right. Okay. So thank you for this panel discussion, and thank you for the beautiful thoughts, Viva. They're really eye-opening because many of us are either parenting, which is worse, or managing Gen Z. So we need that kind of insight because honestly, it's a puzzle that every generation has to solve. How to communicate, how to make use of, and how to make everything worthwhile for the next generation. This conundrum is nothing new, and it's as old as time itself. So my question to any of the panelists is that we talked about skills. Of course, Gen Z is not lacking in skills. In fact, they're bettering us in skills. But how to instill that sense of responsibility and commitment that needs to be there, instead of taking everything for granted, instead of looking at, again, short-term growth as some kind of birthright, some kind of entitlement, whereas we know that growth is earned, it's not given. So how to instill that, how to make that connection to the younger generation? Perhaps Kim can answer. Yeah.
Kim, did you get the question?
Apologies, just repeat the question. Sorry, it was just the audio's not so great.
Yeah, so what I understand it, and I will just repeat the question there, that we know that yes, we all need to do a lot of things, but with the new generation, they need to understand that the growth is earned, not given. How we instill that concept to them.
Yeah, that's going to be a really key piece for this generation, and they have got that kind of internal entitlement, and I think we are seeing that very much come through from an employment perspective as well. So for me personally, it's equipping them with the skills to be able to deal with that. So from a resilience perspective, they're going to need the resilience to be able to survive in the workplace. So it's understanding that skill set in terms of what they will need, but continuing to really push that mentality as well, because absolutely in agreement that needs to be earned, and that comes through time, it comes through building knowledge. That said, we do need to equip them with the skills to be able to deal with that. It's a tricky one. I think that's going to be a real test for this generation over the coming years.
Thank you, Kim.
Go ahead.
Toastmaster Tahseen.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. It was indeed a very insightful discussion with all the panelists who have contributed. I just wanted to ask that everyone was talking about the employer and the Gen Z gap, that yes, Gen Zs are very short-tempered and they switch jobs quickly and likewise. However, in the own particular advertising industry from which I belong to, I have seen that most of the advertisers are very enthusiastic to hire Gen Zers, as they bring it a lot of new innovation and approach to their businesses. But when Gen Zers give those innovative ideas and those technology integrations, so our state system do not allow that, and they are like, oh yeah, they'll think, and they do not let those things happen, and that actually made Gen Zers to switch the job, which I have also seen, and I have also done in my previous jobs as well. So how it can be addressed? At one side, you want innovation, but at another side, you are not open to take it.
So, fortunately or unfortunately, Kim, you are the only panelist
Don't
remaining on
worry,
the
don't
call. So
worry.
yeah.
No problem. And I think, Fatima, it's a huge opportunity that's missed if we don't get it right. And for me, it comes back to that leadership mindset of them being accepting of the ways of working and thinking of that next generation. And that's massively unfortunate that you've seen that the Gen Z kind of population have then taken the decision to move employers because of that reason. If we had a leader with the mindset of, allowing those ideas, that innovation to come through, I think we're really kind of setting the scene there to get the best of both worlds. So for me, yeah, it's that mindset piece that we need to work on to enable that to still happen. But a really, really intriguing question.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for your contribution.
Yep. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Tahseen. Any further question? If not, I would like to thank our panelists, DTM Saif and DTM Savarna. They were actually committed for the first 1 hour, and I know they need to move on to another contest to do the judgment, and they were having some other commitments, so they just moved on. Thank you very much, Kim, for having this time on this fine Saturday morning. I appreciate everybody's presence, and over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, what a panel discussion we had. The wisdom and the experience is shown through. It was totally worthwhile. Without further ado, I'll just ask the presence of the participant for a short and fun session and hand over the floor to Toastmaster Tahseen and Debbie Collins.
Okay, so I need to give the quick evaluation, right?
No, actually, we'll skip that and we just stick to the table topics.
Okay, great.
Perhaps
great.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You need to evaluate the panel discussion project. Yeah. Thank you for reminding. Yeah.
No issues, as you say.
Your time starts.
Okay, perfect.
So you're ready, right?
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm ready with it. Okay. TM Khurram Chishti, what a great discussion and what a great choice of the subject and a great choice of the panelist you have. You started with great enthusiasm and make us all listen to what's coming up next. You elaborated the intro very well. The questions you asked are very relevant and to the point, and the panelists have actually contributed with very precise and ownership on the subject. It was a very planned session, and congratulations, TM Khurram Chishti. You have done a great job. The insights you have shared had added a great value in the entire session. The questions, the way they were answered by the panelists had actually made the discussion very interesting. But I think it is totally my point of view. You have all the right to agree or disagree with it. That what value added can bring to this discussion is that it looks like that you have done a great homework and you have a lot of insights in hand. You may opt to choose to present a couple of slides representing those insights which you had and you were telling us. And one more thing, when we say that the recent research shows it, so it's always great to quote the source of that research. That, for example, the Harvard students have made a research recently and they have showed. So it always brings a value addition. And my last point is that your facial expressions are great. Your speech tone is great. However, it could have been great that your body language or your hand gestures could add a great value. So thank you very much. Again, congratulations to everyone.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tessie. Now you can proceed with your table topic session. We just have 3 participants.
Okay, so as per the theme around Gen Z, I thought Gen Zers are the diverse and unique population with their own persona. So let's make this table topics diverse, unique, and self-driven. I have a few creative paintings for you all. And what I'm gonna do is that I will request the speakers to have a deep look, 10
Ashraf has seen is so let's wait for her. What do you have to say about Imran's evaluation point? Khurram? He just noted one in the chat box.
He put something in the chat box. Let me see it.
Yeah, he did. He put a very important evaluation point. Please read it.
Maybe to the newest look, but yeah.
You don't mind that comparison, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, what I heard is from the ancestors, however you call a flower, flower stays flower.
oh, that's in fact, Imran wrote this to me one-to-one a little while ago. And I told him that you're dead wrong. Khurram is far better looking than Afan. So don't make that comparison. So Kate has seen has dropped off. Let's wait for her a little bit. So congratulations, Khurram. So this completes your level 5, right?
Yeah, it complete the first path.
First part. Awesome.
Second path left 2 speeches. That's it. I
Uh,
might not do 9 path or 7 path like you.
no, that's okay. So your first path is your level 5 project is complete. You have to deliver, reflect on your path, right? To complete the path. And then you'll start a second path, right?
Second path is already completed. Just 2 speeches
okay.
left in that one.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, great.
So 2 more speeches, second path is done as well.
Right. Okay. So I request that you make those, at least a few of those speeches at quantum, because we saw how amazing this project was for the club and for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And secondly, what else do you need to do for your distinguished host?
One is the team building activity, and second is the speak professionally. These are the 2.
Okay, right. So that's the part of the other part, right? And
Yeah.
then you need to deliver, reflect on your path speeches for both the parts. But again, that's nothing to. So that concludes your path, and after that, you need to do a DTN project, and you need to sponsor and mentor a new club. So those are the steps remaining. But this was like getting through 2 parts was the potentially the most time consuming one. So over to you, Toastmaster Tehseen, your time.
I apologize for the internet disruption. It happens to us all the time. So I was telling that as per the theme around Gen Z, I thought Gen Zers are the diverse and unique population with their own persona. Apni marzi wale log. So let's make table topics diverse, unique, and self-driven as well. I have a few creative paintings with me, and I would request the speakers to see that painting for 10 seconds, and whatever the message he or she concludes from it, please start delivering the speech on that. So, sounds good? Shall we start? Okay, so we will start with the Toastmaster, the distinguished Toastmaster, Talha. Would you like to participate, please?
Okay, sure.
Okay, great. So, the first painting comes for you is, let me share my screen, please. One second, sorry, it's loading.
Yeah, now
Okay, here it goes. So the first painting for you, DTM Talha. 10 seconds.
all right. Okay, thank you. I'll start. So let me just put on the timer for table topics. Yeah. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. This painting actually conveys something that is quite relatable, but at the same time, it is very scary too. Because if I were to put myself in the shoes of this person who I think is trying to break free, that is something we feel all the time. Sometimes things close in on us from all sides, and we are being buried with that. And yet we need to make space for ourselves. We are getting suffocated. At the same time, if you look, this person is opening their mouth and they're trying to speak. They're trying to breathe or trying to speak. So first of all, I think this is kind of an outlet, or maybe they're opening their mouth to speak because they want to summon that last power that will enable them to open this door. But at the same time, it's not a pretty sight for anyone looking, right? So the lesson for me here is that perhaps, yes, we have our internal struggles. We all have our demons, and we are all trying to break free of something or another. But at the same time, it is important to keep up a demeanor that is more palatable. All our troubles, our pains should not become apparent on our face or in our attitude. That's not how the world is. So, yes, putting myself in this person's shoes, I can relate. I can even be this person. Looking at this person from the other side, I can see that how the transparency of his suffering is potentially troublesome. So, over to you, David Roberts.
Amazing. Very well spoken, DTM Talha, that you have set a great example for the next speaker. So may I invite TM Kumar? Would you please like to give the next speech? TM Kumar?
Yes. In this, sir, you need to unmute yourself, Toastmaster Kumar. Perhaps he's struggling to unmute himself.
Okay. Can we request DTM Imran Rana, please, to attempt the next speech?
Okay, first of all, I'm not the DTM. So
I'm sorry. I thought you were a DTM. I'll take you as the most senior, as one of the most senior person of KTC, but you will be a DTM. So
It's
would
an
you like to
achievement.
attend?
It's an achievement to not be a DTM after all these years and having completed all the
Okay,
requirements with just a few
sure.
times remaining to not be DTM.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
Okay, TM Kumar, I'm on the line. Am
Yeah,
I
okay.
online?
Yeah, Toastmaster
What's
Kumar is here.
Okay, what's the
Okay,
Yeah.
question?
great.
What is the
Great.
question?
Toastmaster Kumar, here is the painting for you. Please have a look and deliver the great speech to inspire us. Here is the painting for you. I'm sorry. Here.
This painting.
Yes.
This
Okay. See
What message
nothing.
it gives to you?
It just says, the more silent you are, the better you live. Don't open your mouth and get into trouble. Don't see unnecessary things and see them in the correct view. By keeping silence, you will have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. This is what they say. No look, no talk, and no. Can't remember what's the third one. Nevertheless, talking of today, it is best we know when to open our mouth and when to talk. If we do these three actions accordingly, there will be no problem. But if they are done wrongly, then you have problems. Especially the younger generation gets into problem because they open their mouth. They seem to know more than what we older people know. Then they get into problems. But we as elders should also make it a point to listen to them because they know latest things which we may not know. And we have to admit and learn from them. So I tell to myself, speak when you are spoken to, advise when you are asked how, and you'll have no problem whatsoever. Back to you. Back to you,
Amazing. Very, very inspiring, sir. Very inspiring. Thank you so much for inspiring us. So, TM Imran Rana, you are the next. May I request you to please have a look at this painting and deliver a great speech. Just
No
one
pressure.
second. Okay, so your painting comes here. This.
Painting is quite complex. So,
Do you want me
okay.
to show another painting?
No,
Do you
no,
want
no,
me to show another painting?
no, no,
Okay,
let me try.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much for this wonderful painting. Okay. What I see or what I understood from this painting is that the world is a beautiful place and it is quite colorful as well. Uh, I could see blue water and I could see green leaves, and I could see a flower on that, on only one leaf. Uh, and this blue and green color this green color represents blue and green colors represents serenity and peace, and that uh, what would I say, that if we live peacefully and calmly, then we could have beautiful gifts, just like we have this beautiful white color flower. Uh, or it also we can also relate it to that uh, this is not the cutting vegetable board, right? If that's the case, then we should eat a healthy foods, and if we eat healthy foods, then we will remain healthy and healthy, wealthy, and wise. So these two understandings, after seeing this picture, so I got these two understandings that hope I may be right or I may be correct, but I would suggest you to please what this picture means. Over to you.
Wonderful attempt. You have been great, TM Imrana. Sorry, Imran Rana. And sorry. So actually, there is nothing right or wrong about these pictures or topics. It is how person to person see things differently. What I and how I see things can be totally different as compared to yours. So you have depicted in a very beautiful manner. If I have seen this picture, so I would say the message of peace, harmony, growth, environment-friendly approach, likewise. But how you have depicted it and how you have depicted the cutting board, it's superb. Thank you very much. DTM Talha, shall we move towards our fourth speech, or would you like to wrap up this session?
I think you can. I think you can have one.
Okay. Okay, great. So, TM Khurram, we would like you to please, we have TM Hassan Akram, I just saw. TM Hassan Akram, would you please like to be our next speaker?
I just joined. I'm not aware of the format. If you can shed some light on that, that would be
Okay,
great.
sure.
It's just
So,
daily topics.
it's a table topic segment. I will show you one picture. It will be a painting, and whatever comes to your mind seeing that painting, please start delivering your short speech on that. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay, great. So your painting comes right here. Let me share my screen. Here. Over to you, TM.
Okay. Well, what I see in this picture is someone is actually forcing women not to speak about some truth or maybe some secret about someone. And it also has a lot of abstract art in it. The girl face is full with different colors. That also shows that she has different emotions. What I see, these colors are different emotions. And at the same time, if you see the background, it says stop. That means it's a sign of violation for the woman. Woman is not feeling safe. And the tears in her eyes also shows she's sad as well. She's emotionally overwhelmed with a lot of negative stuff. And things are not right about this woman in this picture. And if I talk about the color scheme, in the background it's dark red, which is alarming, and the hands covering her mouth and shoulder also has some dark colors in it with some pictures, which I can barely see, but I see a few pictures. It's in simple words. If I summarize it in a nutshell, is I also see this as a domestic violence against women. Thank you. Over to you.
Wonderful interpretation. Thank you very much, TM Hassan, for the contribution. Can we take TM Khurram's one speak as well? Okay, great. TM Khurram, we would like to show you one painting, and please share your thoughts about that. So your painting is here. Let me share my screen. Here you go. TM Khurram, over to you.
Hello, Toastmasters. This picture reminds me of a story where the iron was found. So somebody told a tree that iron has found. Tree say, I don't care. They say the man is casting a tool with that. Tree say, I don't care. That the man says that we are carving a sharp X out of that. And tree say, I don't care. And then the man says, the man has put a wood log handle into that X. And tree was afraid. He say, now we are dead because one of us has joined them. Fellow Toastmasters, it's very important that the trust, the compassion we join with our humanities is so important that once one of us join the devilish side, the bad side, the negative side, the iron walls become sand walls. We have to adhere our loved ones into our zones, not only just the culture, not only just the religion, not as just everything, but to be a human the way the human have to be. That's how tree will survive. That's how we will survive. That's how everybody will survive. Over to you, table topic master.
What a great interpretation, TM Khurram. Amazing. Very great job. Thank you so much, everyone who has participated and made this segment amazing. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day, DTM Dalha.
Thank you so much. So we are now at the end of the meeting. And thank you so much, Toastmaster Khurram. So I would just ask as the last segment, I'll ask Toastmaster Imran Rana to give a brief evaluation of the meeting. Then we'll focus. So Toastmaster Imran. Toastmaster Imran, are you there?
Seems like he's not.
He is in the meeting though, but he was in office. Okay, how about Toastmaster Kumar? If we would ask you for your thoughts about the meeting. You need to unmute yourself. You need to unmute, sir. Okay. I think. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir. Yes, you are.
I came in late. I'm sorry for that. But you were talking about the Gen Z
Yes.
generation. I would like to know something about it. What is it? Gen Z is the latest generation, I believe. From what year did
Not
it
the
start?
latest, sir. Not the latest. Actually, Gen Z is classified as someone who was born between 1997 and 2012, although the definition differs a bit. The generation after that one is called Generation Alpha. So that's what Generation Z is. Gen Z.
Okay, talking of 1997.
Yeah.
I think this generation needs more basic education on hands, learn on hands, rather than what we during our time in the 50s, where we learn from books. They need education to learn on time. And with that, they can pass it on to the next generation. And I think we will be having a very good generations in years to come. The meeting overall was good. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It was absolute honor having you. Thank you for joining the meeting. Try to join our future meetings as well. And of course, sincere thanks to Toastmaster Hassan Akram for joining at the last moment, but delivering superb table topics for us. So thank you so much. And Toastmaster Imran seems to be at work. Thank you so much for joining. And of course, Toastmaster Bessie for picking up a crucial role at the last moment as always. So with that, we bring this meeting to a close. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you all very soon. Bye-bye.